I recently made a door which you can only unlock using vibrant visuals, and so many of you wanted to know how you can make your own. Let me explain how you can make your own unique design, as well as share some of the things I've learned whilst making mine. Even if you're not watching to build your own, you'll still find this video interesting. So let's sit back in Minecraft. To think, this is where we started, and then this is where we ended up. That is an insane amount of change in such a small amount of designs. This first design used a button combination lock and also the sundial, which is so easy to build. You can basically see it all from right here. We set it so that when the sundial is at 3 o'clock, these 3 buttons are going to light up using specific holes in the ceiling, which then, when we press them all, will unlock the secret door. And of course, this is only visible at 3 o'clock. If we're to then change the time, you can see that only those buttons are visible at 3 o'clock, and any other time in the day, the password is completely jumbled up. And then this next design was slightly more complicated because we had it at 3 o'clock as well. These 3 signs will light up, which then tell you the password. We then need to grab the paper and then toss the paper in the moss, and it will unlock the secret door. Now, I could try and make a block for block tutorial on how you can make exactly what I've made, but that's not unique at all. This is perfect for my world, but it might not be perfect for yours. So I really want to make a video just showing you how you can make your own. And even if you're not wanting to make your own, you'll certainly find this very interesting. And first things first is go into creative world, because this is going to be so much easier now that you can put in this command here and make sure that the daylight is not going to change. And the next thing you want to do is try and find a time which is going to work for you. I went for 3 o'clock in my video, but what you can do is you can do time add, and then you can do minus 100 or minus 1000. You can do positive 1000 as well, and you can see how much it changes. Now I'm going to keep the sundial in place and I'm basically going to use this to tell the time. So I'm going to go for 9 o'clock this time rather than 3 o'clock. So we're on the complete opposite side, but you could do any time that you want. Another important factor is where the sun is. You can see the sun is going to move in this kind of shape across the sky, and so that means you're going to have to make some holes in your build exactly where the sun is. And the first thing we're going to do is try and replicate that right there, which is just the wall of buttons, because that's by far the easiest design. I also think it's the most practical design as well from a survival standpoint. So I think first things first, let's try and create a wall of buttons. And you can make it as big as you want. This is exactly how big I want mine. And again, because we're in creative mode, the sun is not going to move because we've toggled it off. And now we can see our player model as well. And so I think I'm going to go for that button there, and then that button there as well, and then that button as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my shadow, and I'm going to position my feet of the shadow where I want button to be lit up from. And again, you can make this as close as you want, because it's basically an optical illusion. Because if I'm standing right here, you can see that the bottom half of me is covering that button. But even if I move really far away, you can still see the bottom half of me is covering that button. So you can do some really unique and tricky things with this, because you could have it on top of a nearby skyscraper blocking out the buttons at certain times. So that just lets you see just how unique and crazy you can make your own design. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do /set block. I'm going to use these, I believe they're called the tildes. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to put 3 of those, and it's basically going to say my position exactly where I am, exactly where my lower half is rather. I'm going to set that to stone, and you can see that a stone block is now covering exactly the button that we wanted to. And I'm going to do the same with the other button as well. And I can just go in the up arrow, and you can see that I can just copy back my previous command. I can basically just put all of my buttons in just like that. And again, I've got mine really far away. That's okay. You can have them as close as you want, as far away as you want. This demonstration, I'm going to have them up there. And so now that we've got our buttons located and mapped out and which areas need to be blocked off, we can start working on everything else around it. Because we know that no matter what, where these blocks are, they're going to get removed, and there's got to be a direct path of sunlight. Which means if we really want to, we can start making even the button board look nice as well. And so I've even changed mine to look kind of like this. And you know what? We're even going to move these as well, just so you can see exactly what I'm meaning. And then we're going to put up a wall here. And I imagine this wall is going to start to take out some of those buttons. But that's okay, because we can always edit this as well. In fact, it's looking like it's just going to miss. That is crazy. But again, you can see this block right here is casting a shadow, and it's even hitting the top of that. So what we can do is we can grab this block, and I'm going to move it, because we can see that we can just set it there, and it's already removing that button. And again, when we remove the stone, eventually that button's going to remain lit up. And because we learned that we can put these anywhere, I'm going to move that block to there. You can see that that button is still in shadow, and then we're going to do the same with that one. So I'm going to place that there, and I imagine I'm going to have to place one there as well. And then I break that, and you can see, yeah. Now, I had this problem before. These are very, very big shadows, and at this specific time, too many buttons is getting cast in shadow. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some slabs out, and then I'm going to try and tinker around with this. So I'm going to place a slab there. You can see just a little bit is too lit up, but what's more as well, we can even use a stair. And when you place it like that, it's going to act as a full block, because you can see that this side is a full block. But if I was to turn it around, you can see that because of the angle of the sun, it's not quite a full block. So if we replace this here, that should be perfect, and it kind of is. is, it's as good as it's going to get whilst sitting there. So we could even move that further back and then up, and there we go. And then we'll do even the same with this one as well. And it's looking like this is lining up much better on this side. And if we do the same, in fact, that one's pretty perfect. I think we're just going to leave that one as it is, but you can see this is the wall of buttons, and then there are our 3 blocks which are keeping them in shadow. And of course we are going to replace these. And now if we really want to, we can then turn this into a big window or something. We could say that this is in a bank maybe, and I'm basically just going to create some kind of design. It may not look very good, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to get some glass in as well, and I'm just going to use light grey because I think that will look the nicest. Again, we know that should stay there, so I think what we'll do is we'll use iron bars, we'll use grey glass as well, so we can fill all this in. Because it's transparent, the light is just going to pass right through, and then the likes of this block here, we can remove that and replace it with iron bars. Now that may not look, yeah, so you can kind of see that this is definitely something because it's got that shape there. And then the likes of this one, I don't know how well this will work, but I've never tried this before. So you can see that one's lit up there. What happens if we put one there? But I actually think that's quite a cool design. Again, we can just move these forward. I think that still looks pretty cool considering it's just kind of like floating bars. When you look up here, it's kind of like, what's going on up there? There's something happening up there. When you look at it at this specific time, you can see that these ones are in fact lit up. So that just tells you just how unique and customizable these designs really are. And then the next step for this one is going to be the redstone. And now I'm just going to place a redstone torch behind each one of these buttons. And if you're not sure which button it is, you can break through. And I'll just go like that. And you can see that the button to the right has got the redstone torch behind it. And then it's looking like we're going to have to go for that button there as well. And now we want to try and get all of these redstone wires on the same level. So I'm going to go like this. And so I'm basically going to run them kind of like that. But you can see I'm just trying to spread them out ever so slightly so we can start getting some pulse extenders in place. And so a pulse extender is really quite simple, where we're just going to place some redstone. In fact, we'll make it even bigger because the longer these are, the longer the pulse gets extended for. I'm certainly no redstone genius. I'm just kind of doing stuff which I've picked up whilst playing the game. And so you can see if I was to press this button right here, you can see that this turns on, and you'll see that this redstone line will stay active, and then it's slowly going to get dimmer and dimmer until it switches off. And so now that we've done that, we can then run these into repeaters, which then connect onto a big smooth stone bar, which has a redstone torch there, there, and there. And I'm going to bring these out ever so slightly again, and then basically just connect them all together. And now this is an AND gate, where this and this and this all has to be powered in order to get these redstone torches off. So you can see that if I do these two, it still stays on. If I do the third one, you can see the redstone line is now off, which would then unlock the door. And again, when I remove the torches, you can see the pulse extender is working perfectly, and now they all come back on. And I'm going to run that into a repeater because we don't want it where the redstone signal gets too short, where we got these two on, this is too far away, and then it turns off. We want to try and keep the redstone signal as strong as possible after this point. And I'm basically just going to run a big redstone line all the way over here, and then this will connect up to our door. Now I'm just going to do a 1 block wide door, but if you really wanted to, you could do the same on this side. It's entirely up to you. I'm just going to do it 1 block wide because this is 7 blocks wide, and I'm just going to basically run redstone just like that. You can see that it opens up, or it closes rather, and then we fix up the floor. We can then bring up this wall. You can see just how customizable this truly is. So at the desired time, so it's up to you. You could have a sundial placed down nearby you, or again, you could just have a clock on the wall and say it at this time, but I prefer the sundial because it's genuinely slightly more accurate because you actually get numbers. But you can see that at this specific time, this button, and this button is all lit up because of the iron bars in the window above. So we can just press these at any order, and then this will open up. And because of the pulse extender, you can see that it stays unlocked and open for a while. And it's genuinely that simple. So I really hope I've managed to show you just how much you can make from this, and just the insane amount of ideas and different styles and different way of doing things. Because technically this is exactly the same as that and that, which is crazy because they look completely different. And like I said, I've got another video that I'm planning to make of the next challenge for this place. So I'm still reading the comments. There have been some amazing comments, and I'm really glad you all enjoy it so much. So thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.